I have successfully and easily removed 3 moles from my mulch bed, all within the last month. And I'm about to show you just how I'm doing it. My first piece of advice, though, would be to forget all the folk remedies. You can try deterrents. You can try all sorts of things that say they'll keep the moles out of your yard, but there is no better way and guaranteed way besides trapping it and seeing that you've caught it and removed it from your lawn. I finally got this mulch bed planted. If you remember from last fall, we had an armadillo named Hugo. Oh, he had different plans in mind for me. He did not want me to plant this, and he was just tearing this hillside apart. Well, he has since moved out, I think, and the moles have moved in. 3 of them been tearing this mulch apart. Yard is looking rather nice, but you're going to often hear, oh, you want to get rid of the moles, you got to get rid of their food source. Do a little research on moles. That's what I did. A little help from John Ware, Oklahoma State's Extension Office, University of Arkansas Extension Office, and you'll find that trapping animals like armadillos and moles is not what you're often going to hear on YouTube. Actually, if you try to remove the food source from moles or armadillos, it could actually cause more damage to your lawn because they're going to tear more of it up searching for food, only to find none in that case. So if you've got a problem with moles or armadillos, I would highly recommend trapping them. And right now we're having success with moles. Let me show you my tips. The key to catching them is when you see a mole run above ground, act on it immediately. Don't wait. Don't let the problem get much bigger than it is. As soon as you see a mole run, you should be thinking about getting that trap set. This trap was set less than 48 hours ago, and it's already tripped. There is a mole underneath the mulch right there. The first 2 times I set it, it took less than 24 hours, and the second less than 36. So as long as you've got a fresh mole run, it's pretty much a guarantee that that mole is going to travel back through it again sometime very soon. So you don't want to wait. It's going to use the runs that it's already dug out. It's less work for them. If they've already dug it, they're going to use it again. I was outside on the patio this afternoon and I heard it trip. I mean, not to be mean to the little critter, but if you're putting this much work into your lawn and your flower beds, you don't want it to be torn up by a little mole. So when I come out and I'm surveying the lawn or the mulch, what am I looking for to even know that I have a mole? Well, let me show you. Okay, so this might be a little difficult to see because of the mulch, but follow my hands. You can see a little raised area in the mulch right here. It kind of meanders through right there, meets the trap that comes around on the other side, just below this blue rug juniper, and comes up that way. When I see a run that actually has a little length to it, I know that's going to be an ideal place to set the trap, especially if it's fresh. Now, I don't want to set the trap way over on one end or way over on the other where it's likely ended or even began. I want to set it somewhere in the middle. And after we pull this thing up and get rid of the mole, I'll show you what kind of trap I'm using, but it's really, really simple. Once you find your spot where you want to set your trap, you're going to collapse that mole run just a little bit. So if I were to step on the mole run right here, you'll see how it collapses just a little bit. You'll collapse that mole run in one spot under the trap, and it forces that mole as it's coming back through its run to kind of dig a little more, and it trips this trigger right here, and that's when the trap catches that sucker. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. So as not to be too graphic and be as humane as possible, I'm going to pull the trap out of the ground, show you there's a mole there, then I'm going to go as humanely as possible, remove him from the trap and the lawn. Then we'll talk about this particular trap and style that I'm using. Okay, slowly pull it out. And there's a mole. Number 3, baby. There are two different types of traps you can choose from. This one is a scissor style trap, and I chose this one after a recommendation. What this one essentially does is you insert it into the ground with the scissors closed. You step on this activation piece. These springs open up the scissors, and when that mole runs through there and trips the trigger, it clamps down and scissors them shut. There are all sorts of brands and models and types you can go with. I found this one on Amazon. It was about 16 bucks, honestly. Have no idea what brand it is. Had good reviews, and I went with it. Very pleased so far. Sturdy, strong, springs are super tight. So once I've removed the mole from the trap, I'm not done yet. I want to make sure that I've set myself up in case another mole decides to set up shop in my yard. Because what I've learned is moles are super territorial. So sometimes you might think that you have a lot of moles doing a lot of damage to your lawn, but most likely it's just one doing a lot of damage. But once you catch that one, it doesn't mean you're free for good. You may have another one move in, and what better place to move in than into a mole nest with runs that have already been dug. So I've caught these three, but they've been a week and a half, 2 weeks apart from each other. So I get one, another one moves in, get one, another one moves in. So now that I've gotten this one, I want to make sure that if another one moves in, I know it. And here's how I'll know it. Well, if the number one key to having success and catching them is finding fresh runs, then I don't want to leave this run visible. I want to collapse the whole thing. Any runs, anywhere in my yard, I want to collapse them if I've caught the mole. If they're old runs, collapse them because it needs to be a fresh one. I cannot emphasize that enough. So now that we've removed this one, I don't want to just leave it there. I want to make sure I'm not going to touch anything with my hands. Those things probably carry bacteria or something, but I'm going to make sure that I go everywhere in this mulch where I see any kind of raised up run, and I press it down and collapse that tunnel. That way, if I come out here in, I don't know, another week, and I see more raised mulch, it might be unfortunate that there's likely another mole, but if you follow all these steps, you don't even have to worry about it. You're going to get that thing within 24 to 48 hours. If these things are going to drive you nuts, though, let me give you a final warning. If it's not one thing, it's another in lawn care. Just as soon as I catch a mole, a little investigating along my back fence, and yeah, you guessed it, the trap is out. Fresh dig marks on the back side. It might not be Hugo, it might be Hugo's cousin, I don't know, but something's trying to make its way in. Part of lawn care is just having to deal with these things as they come along. Moles, fungus, disease, armadillos, whatever it is. Just don't sweat it though. There's always a solution. Freaking out about it is not one. All right, y'all. That's where I leave you with this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.